Sorry, I'm trying.
Hey guys, this is Kalia with Southern Regime. Today I'm speaking to Jeremy Lewis. He helps a lot of clients with a various amount of things. Today we're actually focusing on eviction. So how that process starts, some steps you might need to take if you're in that process, and kind of how to defend yourself so that you are prepared. Jeremy, how are you today?
Everything is well. Thank you for bringing me on. It's been a long time coming, so I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah, we're trying to work this out for a couple of weeks now, so I'm glad we finally got it on the books. I do just want to jump right in. So, can you briefly explain the eviction process?
Okay, cool. So that's a great start off question. Typically, the process is basically when either you have a landlord or an attorney who brings forth those actions. And being that we talk about evictions, we're dealing with civil matters, and the Latin term for civil means contract. So basically, there's some type of matter that's not being agreed upon based off a contract. So that's pretty much how it starts, and they're gonna either try to evict you or come to some type of conclusion.
So, once you find out you're being evicted, I've never been evicted, so I don't know if it's just on your door or you get a warning. But once you find out, how much time do you usually have to respond?
Okay, another great question too. So typically, this is really the only answer, honestly. The moment you get the action, I'm sorry, well, it is the action. The moment you get the eviction notice, right? Well, so let's be specific. It's I guess you can use the term eviction notice because every let's just say every proceeding is kind of worded different. Because remember, sometimes they're not looking to evict you; they might just want their payment. But if you don't give them what is allegedly owed, then they can go for it. So in a nutshell, pretty much it's based off of your state statutes. So you will look up your state statutes, which is called your uh, your statute of civil proceedings. And what that means is that whoever is that's doing the service, it's called the civil. It's called, I always get this tongue twisted, but it's called the civil procedure of service, right? And what that means is if I'm bringing forth the action or claim, according to the statute, I'll bring it to you, and there's a time frame and certain, let's say guidelines or laws or whatever that I have to do to make it work. And then a recipient, which is the person who's receiving the notice, they have a time frame to answer it. Every state is different, basically in a nutshell. So that's how that goes.
Um, hmm. I guess so. Let's say the time frame is like 30 days.
Hmm.
So does that give you like a little bit of time to like study and talk to somebody and like try to get this together? Or is a time window usually like maybe like 7 or 8 days? And it's like, man, I gotta just try to respond. Like, I'm sure it varies depending on state, but is it usually a pretty small window?
That's a good question. Far as overall me understanding like the civil proceeding process, it's always going to be at least 30 to 60 days to respond. At least. So out here in Jersey and New York, it's typically, like I said, minimum 30 to 60 days to respond. And I think you had asked pretty much something else behind that, or was that the question?
Yeah, that was the question. Like, I was just trying to figure out, all right, you find out you're being evicted. Although, I guess if you know you haven't been making the payments, um, like how much time do you have to try to prepare to defend yourself, um, if something had come up during that window?
Because I knew it was something to it. So yeah, outside of the actual statute, that's just the statute part. But as far as if you get a notice today, the sooner the better, as they say. So yeah, pretty much that's how it is for me. Most people who I come across that we help, they got it pretty soon, or they got it very very late. In other words, if they got it 2 months ago, they're pretty much at the point that they got trial next week, literally.
Okay.
Or and that's like almost majority of my most recent clients or people that I helped. But typically, if you are seeing this right now, and that might have been something you just experienced a few days ago or a week ago, the sooner the better, because now you're not basically per se immediately subject to going to court, because this is basically like the pre-trial or pre-hearings and stuff like that. So it gives you a lot of time to knock it out. So the sooner the better.
Okay. So let's say you don't address it in a timely manner and you do get evicted. And now like it's on your credit report or you got like that judgment. Can you get that removed? Because obviously that's gonna hinder you from finding another place to live. Is that something you can have removed?
Oh, indefinitely. I've helped quite a few clients over the past get eviction removed. And the reason why an eviction can be removed from your credit report, because let's just use you and I as an example, because I technically still obviously rent and have an apartment complex as well that I domicile. Keyword, guys, domicile. We gonna get there later perhaps, but and wording and definitions mean everything. And this is how we're helping people. So me and the name of this complex is, let's call Live Here 123 LLC. That's a contract, an agreement that I have between Live Here 123 LLC. Well, let's just say the eviction or judgment was ordered, and now they go ahead and put it on my credit report. A credit report is a public venue. That's a public situation. So it went from it being private to public. That's now a violation of your 1974 Privacy Act, along with consumer laws under 15 U.S.C. permissible use. So right then and there, that's a letter or a strike up that you can use, obviously, to defend yourself or to delete that item / eviction.
Right. So let's say you are in this situation. What is the first step in the process? And you're at the, I guess you're at the top of that time window, right? So you find out you're getting evicted, you're in the first like 30 days. Like, what are some of the key steps that you need to be taking?
Okay, key steps. So first thing first is this, right? I like to always tell people, I'm gonna get right into that. Before we get into the key steps, let's get into terms and definitions, right? So when you get those contracts or those leases and so forth, they have terms in there, leases, statuses, like tenants, residencies, and so forth, right? You need to go research and define what those words and terms mean. Because when you, long and behold, read and see what those terms and definitions mean, you are not that and you don't even qualify to be that. So, what was the original question again?
The original question was key steps.
Okay, so yeah, because sometimes I have to focus on the whole entire thing. Because before we get into the steps, we got to talk about first, like, you shouldn't even be in a certain status that they put you in. But the steps pretty much is, now that you are in this little Jamie Jam, you would definitely have to challenge jurisdiction. That's just hands down, because jurisdiction means authority or power over. So if they have jurisdiction over you and you know that they don't, you have to challenge that. And that would be the first step, which is pretty much the most intricate and only important step needed, because if they can't bring you into their jurisdiction, therefore there is really no proceeding.
Okay. I do have one more question. Like during the pandemic, there were things put into place, I guess, to try to protect residents because people are like losing jobs and everything. So have all those items expired? Do you know?
So that's a great question. At this point, if it's not like a national kind of bill being passed and so forth, everything is like on a state to state. So I
Gotcha.
could speak mainly on like New York and New Jersey, right? For prime example, a lot of people in like New York and New Jersey that was like on unemployment had different kind of like benefits, right? I don't remember the terms, but I know like in New York, they had like some of the best benefits. People were getting like $900 a week, but New Jersey, literally right over the bridge, they was only getting like 400 or $300, whatever number a week. So you see the difference between how certain legislators are passed in certain states and so forth versus like the national one. So that's why I always say it's always really based off of your state and your county.
Okay. So it sounds like once you get into this position, it's time to start doing some homework. I mean, pretty quickly, because even what you talked about, like just the terms and understanding like who you are or like who I am as a consumer and where I fall into play, all those terms matter because
Hmm.
that's how you're gonna need that information to basically defend yourself when it comes to eviction. So I guess like you deal with people that come into eviction. What are some of the things that they struggle with? Is it was a lot of it during the pandemic and being unemployed and trying to fight back against their landlords? Or do some people just get behind on their rent? They just come on hard times. Um, I'm not sure
So you
which.
asked a very, very great question, right? I typically don't really butt in people's business, even though the traditional way is, hey, how you doing? Hey, I was referred to you, whatever, whatever. And then they give you a story. And I listen to it, but at the end of that story, it's really like, that don't even matter. At the end of the day, you have rights. And your rights means that you have the right to dot, dot, dot. But based off of what I like to kind of put out there, I just came up with this recently. I call it the MCE factor, right? And basically, the MCE stands for basically mindset, competency, and execution. It's really the mindset, right? Hardship is what I'm going to kind of put in the mindset. A lot of people right now are going through problems. Like you said, some people are behind on rent or they lost their job, whatever it may be. And they're not wrong for that. So what it is the mindset is like, okay, what should you do moving forward to protect yourself and how to handle it? And because a hardship means you're going through some tough times, it means if you can't pay your rent, or if your hardship is like, hey, look, I'm used to having 100K in my bank account, but now I only got 25K. That don't mean that you can't pay your rent, but you're going through a hardship. So it's like, look, I got 20K. I'm used to 100K or better, something gonna give. You get what I'm saying? So you
Yeah.
might be like, look, I can't pay that rent. Everybody got their own story, but you're not wrong for paying the rent. What it is that you might be in what we call dishonor due to the fact that you're not speaking to these people saying, hey, look, there's some things going on in my life right now. I'm having a hardship. I can't afford to do XYZ. And that's, like I said, it's all about the contractual agreements, some type of negotiation. And that's what's one of the elements of a contract. And without being long with it on the end part, that's pretty much how you go about it. Are you going to sacrifice your shelter, or you just going to, try to go duke it out? Now, where we at M, so C will be competency. That's when it's based off of your mindset. Like, hey, I'm going through a hardship, but I'm competent to know that certain things wasn't right in the first place, but I let it rock. So in this case, you like, look, I know a couple of laws. I know number one, I'm not a tenant. I'm not renting. I'm not a part of the military. Hence what I'm saying, guys. I'm not a tenant. I'm not part of, I'm not a part of a federal zoning and so forth. So with your competency, that will bring you to the next phase, which is going into now execution. And if you're competent enough and you ready to, like they say, pull the trigger, it's game on. It's wartime. It's go time.
All right. I mean, you've answered all the questions that I had. I guess how can people reach out to you if they have additional questions, or maybe they're in a position where they need to become a client?
Okay. On a very simple basis, for those who do have obviously Instagram, you could reach out to me at Jeremycreeed. That's with three E's. So it's JeremyCreee. So it's three E's D. And my email would be it'll be info@professorcredit101.com.
All right. And I'll actually also put that in the drop down. So if you guys have questions, concerns, you want to set up a consultation, all the information will be easy for you to access. Well,
I have one more thing to add.
yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah.
Let's say.
No, what you got?
I mean, by the way, thank you for allowing me to give people, some knowledge and stuff. So I'm gonna be very, very, very personal with you guys, right? I just recently had another client 2 days ago, literally 2 days ago. He literally got evicted. He was in a 2 day notice. He called me when it was basically over. Guess what?
Okay.
Guess what? Because this is something I'm adding to a question that you probably skipped, and it's all good. But this is something we on right now. We on this topic. So this is the beautiful thing about having a resource and understanding certain things. Just because you get a judgment or you get that 2 day notice doesn't mean it's over. He went from just receiving a 2 day notice, literally 2 days or 1 day ago, I can't remember, to now I just got him extended, and he had to wait after the extension to go to court for a hearing. So he was just about to be literally about to be packed out, to now I was like, hey, I need you to go put in this motion and do this. And this buys us time to now for me to help him. if he wants to help. Obviously, he's gonna probably want to help, which is cool. And I know him. This is my good buddy. To be honest, I helped him out previously before with this matter. He didn't finish the play
Gotcha.
because I got him, a temporary band-aid. Neither here or there. It just shows you that just because you get a judgment don't mean it's over. So I take my little moment to give you guys a slight little tangent, right? Just because a judgment is ordered on you doesn't mean it's over. You can appeal, right? If let's say they don't accept your appeal, you can take it to a higher court, which is the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is in your favor because that's of the people, that's of land, that's God's law. They're going by the Constitution, which is basically intertwined with the Bible, which is the codes and laws of God. So now you can hit them with more stuff. So it's never over. You can motion them, you can appeal, you can jurisdictionally challenge them. It's so many things. So for you guys who may be going through some hardship, like I said before, or needing more information, it's never over. There's always one more thing you can do.
No, that's
So
great. I mean, even for somebody right now that's like, you're in that 30-day window, you're in that 12-day window, to know that there's hope. Like but for one, I guess you need to ask for help. You can't sit there and be ashamed of the fact that where you are now, you definitely need to reach out and ask for help.
I do it every day. That's actually how I'm here speaking to you guys. You guys underneath my sound, but you wouldn't have this sound if it wasn't for me saying, hey, can you explain more about what is this motion for? Can you explain more about what a jurisdiction is? Can you explain more about the Sovereign Immunity Act and stuff like that? These are things I want you guys to go research. If you guys research 28 USC, I think it's 1611, no, 1602 through 1611, that's your key right there. If you go challenge jurisdiction, which is that explains that you can challenge it because these people are coming in as foreign entities and agents. Remember, this is nothing to do with government. This is entity and agent. They have no right to do that. So there go your play right there.
Man, it's a lot of homework, guys, but if you put in the work, you'll have this information and you'll be able to defend yourself. Even just as you may think you don't have power as a consumer, you're not an attorney. I'm not an attorney, but I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to research the codes because I know that that will help me defend myself in certain situations. Thank you again, Jeremy, for joining us. I'm sure some people will reach out. Again, I'm going to drop all your contact info at the bottom. So if they have questions, concerns, want to set up a consult, they'll have access.
Not a problem. Thank you once again, sis. It's always a pleasure.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Peace.